Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. This is round 5 of Season 2 for the French Grand Prix, and we are unfortunately not looking in as good a shape for this one as the last. We don't have any upgrades going on to the car. You can see the R&D chart there, and we're really falling away. We were briefly part of the top 5 there, I think you could say, a couple of rounds ago, but yeah, we have recently dropped off the pace. We're not going to spend too much time on qualifying, seeing as I did cover this in the last episode, or the last video, not so much the last episode, but there won't be any April Fool's shenanigans this time. We do get through into Q2, down in 16th position, Yuki Tsunoda a few places ahead of us, so we're looking okay, but we're not looking great. Q2 though is much better. We're up in 2nd position, so that was a real surprise. I was not expecting to be that far up the order, especially with no one running the medium tyres, so maybe that was just a lucky lap time track evolution wise, but anyway, we'll see in Q3 where the true pace is. But yeah, at the moment things are looking good. Unfortunately, Yuki Tsunoda, not so lucky, knocked out, but still ahead of the Mercedes car of Nikita Mazepin. He's really been struggling to get up to speed with that car, not helped by the countless reliability issues he's had in this season so far. He's retired from half the races just from reliability alone. He's only scored points once, but anyway, we continue to push on, and now into Q3. We did have 2 brand new sets of tyres to use in Q3, and this is our 2nd flyer on the 2nd set of tyres. We've got Fernando Alonso to follow, and they always drive better when there's a car in front of me to try and chase down and to use as a kind of reference point. We do miss the apex of the final corner, but it was a lot better than what we did on our opening lap. So we're down in P10 at the moment. We will move ourselves up, but where will we qualify? We move up into 3rd position for the time being. Down to 4th as Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc rather, goes fastest. 5th as Sainz goes fastest. And spin there on the curb. I was going to try and go for another flyer, but with damage to the car, we just about managed to avoid the wall. But damage to the side pod, damage to the floor, and that is qualifying over for us. And we actually were caught up there with Fernando Alonso as well, so damage to Alonso's car for that incident too. So yeah, we just lost it on the curb. Alonso had nowhere to go, and that'll be the end of Alonso's session. And he's actually slowing down, so maybe he has a more critical issue because he's pulled off the racing line and now completely off circuit. He's got to park it up near the barriers.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Norris, Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
So we maintained 5th position in qualifying, which I think is fantastic. I don't think we could have expected much more. The McLarens and Ferraris out of our league today, but it's actually a surprise to see the Ferraris that far up the grid, and the likes of the Mercedes struggling. Hamilton quite a long way down, relatively speaking, and Mazepin knocked out fairly convincingly, even for him, who he's been struggling to get into Q3. But I mean, if you look at the Ferrari performance over the season so far, we're ahead of Carlos Sainz. And even Yuki Tsunoda is almost outscoring Charles Leclerc, just 1 point behind. So the Ferraris have not been on it this season. This is a good chance for them to really score some good points and get themselves back in the fight. So let's see what happens.
Hello and welcome to the Circuit Paul Ricard, current home of the French Grand Prix, an event dating all the way back to 1906. It's been held at many venues over the years, with famous moments from Dijon and Manicourt the feature of many a highlights reel. And let's hope we see more of those in the race today. 6 lefts and 9 rights give us a total of 15 corners here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, and a lap covers an overall distance of 3.6 miles. Average speeds will be somewhere in the region of 142 miles per hour, and they'll be maxing out on the Mistral Straight at around 205 miles per hour. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Leclerc, The Scientist and Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Perez and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda and Mazepin, Stroll, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Nobuharu Matsushita, Bottas, Russell, Latifi and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
I don't know what our target is today. Our strategy will be a 2-stop soft to 2 sets of mediums. No weather to interfere, so let's just go to the 5 red lights and see how this race plays out. 5 lights are on. And it's lights out, and away we go for the French Grand Prix. It's a decent start for us as we get ahead of Charles Leclerc off the start. Daniel Ricciardo with a good one as he immediately gets alongside his teammate. And around the outside goes Ricciardo. Carlos Sainz has taken the lead from 2nd position, so it's an awful start for Lando Norris, who's dropped from pole into 3rd position. So that's not good signs for Lando Norris at the beginning of this race, and we're already starting to close up as he needs to deal with the dirty air from his own teammate immediately in front of him. We're trying to line up a nice flowing run through the end of this first sector, start of sector 2, see if we can do anything against Lando Norris, but he's very quick in a straight line. Even though we're deploying the overtake mode, we just don't have enough at the moment to try and do anything about Lando Norris. And to be fair, those McLarens have been mega quick. I'd say the most competitive team this season in terms of the overall package between car and driver. They have been unbeatable. Daniel Ricciardo in particular, after qualifying not so well in this one, down in 3rd position, he's immediately got ahead of his teammate.
You're in 4th position. Norris is ahead of you. Less than a second separate you. Verstappen is behind you. The gap to the leader is 1.5 seconds. Your pit window opens in 9 laps time.
And there'll be mixed feelings in the Ferrari garage too, because Charles Leclerc's dropped 2 places off the start. He's behind Verstappen as well. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz has taken the lead, although things may be about to get even worse for Ferrari as Daniel Ricciardo goes around the outside of Carlos Sainz into turn 1. He's going to sweep through and take the lead of the French Grand Prix. Great move, Daniel Ricciardo, and he's through into 1st position ahead of Carlos Sainz, and you can see that fighting has been holding up Lando Norris a little bit as well, and now we are just about able to tag along with this group. I don't think we'll be able to keep up with the McLarens once they get clear, but it looks like Carlos Sainz is struggling for pace at the moment, and we may be able to capitalize on that. You can see we're pushing really hard, struggling for traction on the exit there, and the car sort of wandering wide off circuit, but we don't need to worry about too much pressure from behind. We are all focused on Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris ahead as they fight away into the middle sector chicane, and it looks like Lando Norris it was able to get through there, and Sainz has now dropped down into 3rd position, and we'll see if we can overtake the Ferrari very, very shortly. We've also got Charles Leclerc behind us, who has got back ahead of Max Verstappen. Down the inside of Sainz we go, and we go very deep there. Sainz will try and get back around the outside, but we're going to cover him off, and we'll have this position to cut off Jeff there, but the job is done, and now we're up and into the top 3 onto the podium now. So perhaps the Ferraris, in terms of their sort of brute force speed, they're pretty good, but overall across the stint maybe they don't quite have the tyre wear to compete, and that's why they haven't been scoring the points that maybe we would expect them to, and why we have been picking up the pieces versus a team like Ferrari. But I guess we'll find out later in this race how that plays out. But at the moment it seems like they can start fast, but just over the course of the stint they just don't quite have the consistency. Speaking of consistency, a mistake there, and Sainz gets back through as we head through the final sector. Just a slight loss at the back end, had to catch the car, lost a bit of time, and Sainz was straight through. So unfortunate there. We'll have to re-overtake the Spaniard, and we should be able to do that down towards the first corner. He's going to cover the inside line. We go further, and we're sending it up the inside, and we get the move done as Sainz tries to get back around the outside, but we hold our line and keep it steady on the inside. Now into pits we go, a little bit deep into the penultimate corner, and into the lane we go to make our first stop of the day onto the medium compound tyres. I'm always more comfortable on the harder compounds, so the race should only get better from here on out. So let's just hope we have a clean stop. No one else really around us in the pit lane. There's another crew there behind, but they won't be causing any interference for us as we head into the box, get the tyres on, and we're on our way once again as we exit pit lane. And I think we should have a decent amount of clean air in front of us. There were a lot of cars, of course, going past, but you can see immediately ahead of us not a lot going on. So we should be able to put in some good laps and hopefully get through this next phase of the race cleanly. But as we continue on, you can see a fight going on up ahead between Lewis Hamilton, who is down the order in this one, as well as George Russell. So those two are fighting away hard, and Russell actually holds on and stays ahead of the Mercedes car. So great work there for Russell in the Williams on old tyres, holding off Lewis Hamilton. We're going to send it down the inside into the final corner of Lewis Hamilton. We go very deep, lose the back end a little bit on the exit, bang wheels with Hamilton, but we managed to get away without any damage. Now we have a look back to the inside of Hamilton, who's squeezing us all the way to the inside, almost off circuit. This fight's getting very, very aggressive between the two of us, but we're going to try and make it around the outside. We give him a bit of space on the exit there. I wasn't sure if he was really going to leave me the room, so I just drove off the edge of the track just to make sure no contact was made. And I think Hamilton may actually have a bit of a problem because he looked quite slow through that section. We now dive to the inside of Schumacher, who makes contact with us as we have to again drive completely off the circuit on the inside there, and still a bit of contact was made with Mick Schumacher. So everyone around here getting very aggressive at the moment, and we'll see a replay of that one. As you can see on the inside, we're completely up on the curb, and Schumacher still turning into the corner and making a bit of contact with us, and that is going to mean Schumacher in his pit stop as he actually double stacks behind Valtteri Bottas, his teammate, so he's got to wait for that. So that's a disaster for Schumacher, but now he's got to have a front wing change as well. So Mick Schumacher has not had a good run today, unfortunately, and he's going to drop down the field because of that. And now Hamilton in for a front wing change as well. So that contact with Hamilton on the exit of the final corner has damaged his car, and that's going to send him tumbling down the order as well. Disaster for Lewis Hamilton, and we'll have a replay of that as you can see going through the penultimate corner. We saw the opportunity as he was held up by the car coming into pit lane. That was fine. The contact was made there as we just turned back to the right a little bit on the exit as we lost the rear end. Here's the onboard with Hamilton, and you can see no contact made there. It was this bit there. We just ran our front wheel into the left front end plate of Hamilton's front wing, and that's what the bit of damage was for Hamilton and the reason he had to box again. So that's unfortunate for Hamilton. We'll stay on board here to see through this first corner. I thought running over that curb on the right, Hamilton might sort of bounce wide. I've had that happen a couple of times, so I thought I'd just play it safe and run out wide over the exit curb, but thankfully Hamilton was able to keep everything in line nonetheless. Schumacher, here's his pit stop. So much smoke that the team couldn't actually see what they were doing, and they had to wait for the smoke to clear before they actually begun the work on the car. He gets a front wing change, and in the end it's actually a pretty tidy stop from start to finish there, sans the waiting time. But anyway, moving on now, we go for a move around the outside, and we should be able to sweep through and get this one done on Nikita Mazepin, and we get ahead of the Russian driver in the Merc, and he continues to
gap ahead is 10.7 seconds.
Yeah, continues to struggle in that Mercedes car. It's just not really come together for him, that deal, but we'll see how it goes over the rest of the season. We make our second pit stop because literally nothing happened through that phase of the race, and we go on to our second set of medium tyres, and these will take us through to the end of the race. So we're already past the halfway point
See these tyres through to the end now.
in this one, so things are looking good for us. We should, in theory, be on for a podium. I haven't really seen much of the Ferraris recently. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc both sort of dropping away in their pace overall. But as we continue on, we catch up to Antonio Giovinazzi. We get through
You made it look easy.
along the straight, and that's a fairly simple one. Job done, and that moves us up into 11th on the road, but many cars still need to come into the pit lane for the final time. So as we come around
Looks stable at the moment. No rain currently expected. Dries seem
on
like the best tyre for now.
on lap 34, it's fastest lap of the race for us, and we're up into 3rd position once again. So yeah, this race is actually going really well for us. We have great pace, and that is Lance Stroll retiring from the race with a mechanical failure. That is actually our rival in the rivalry system, so that will help us in that regard. But he's had a few reliability issues as well this season. I think he retired from round 1 too. But anyway, this is Yuki Tsunoda going for the move to the outside of one of the Alpine cars. I think that is Esteban Ocon, and Tsunoda gets through and gets the job done there ahead of the Frenchman, and moves himself up into, I think, 12th or 11th position. Tsunoda at the moment just outside the points, still not at his best is Yuki Tsunoda, but he's getting there, and he will start bringing in the results soon. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc down the inside, and he almost got the move done there, but we were very late on the brakes as we got a lot of wheel spin on the exit. That's allowed Charles Leclerc to close right behind us again on the exit as he now goes to the outside. We've lost all our momentum on the exit of the chicane there. Leclerc around the outside. We're still side by side. He's kind of hanging in there all the way around the outside. We're going to jump on the brakes, get out the way here. Contact has made a big slide for us. We managed to save it, and there's no damage to the car by some miracle. But Charles Leclerc turning in very aggressively on us there. But what on earth was that? Charles Leclerc, we jumped on the brakes really hard into that right-hander because I knew he was going to try and sweep across. But he still turned across us and made contact. I can't just disappear at this point. There's the big slide, and we were so lucky to be able to save that, and even luckier not to have damage. And we'll see on board with Charles Leclerc exactly how this played out. We gave him the big squeeze there, and he wasn't quite able to get the move done. We were so late on the brakes, but of course he's going to be frustrated at it. We actually ran a bit wide there, but there's the big loss of the back end. And Leclerc probably should have stayed right there, but anyway, he moved to the left, had to use the brakes to avoid a bit of contact on the exit, but he goes around the outside here. This is all fine. We jumped on the brakes really hard there, and yeah, he just turned down across us. So yeah, a bit of contact was made, but no harm done because we have been revitalized by that. We've been pushing super hard, and you can see we've got 2 purple sectors on this lap so far. Can we get another one in the final sector? No, it's just a green. But we are absolutely flying as we go around the outside of Charles Leclerc into the first corner. This is the fight for a podium, and we've got the job done on Charles Leclerc and moved ourselves back up and into 3rd. So Charles Leclerc at what is almost a home race for him, Monaco, just around the corner from France, but he is not on the podium at the moment. We've got the job done and moved ourselves up and into that position, but Charles Leclerc is close behind, so he will have an opportunity for sure in the DRS zone here as we head along the straight. Charles Leclerc following us right in the slipstream, as Charles Leclerc is surely going to have a look here to the inside. We're going to go super late on the brakes. Leclerc has a look down the inside. He goes, contact is made, and Leclerc spins and just about manages to save it, but he's lost a bunch of time and potentially damaged his car there as well. So Charles Leclerc getting a little bit aggressive there, and as he goes super late on the brakes, late in the braking zone, just trying everything he can, but a bit of contact is made and he lost control with the weight transfer of the car. All wrong there. Charles Leclerc is all at sea, it seems, but he's now dropped behind Verstappen. So as we're now on the final lap, that is the end of that battle. But up ahead, Daniel Ricciardo, he's had a super clean race, taking the lead early on, and he has never looked back. Daniel Ricciardo wins the French Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff by the Australian, and he is on a roll this season as we come around the final corner, power down towards the line, and it is going to be another podium for us at the French Grand Prix, and once again we share it with the McLarens.
Nice work, you did well today. I think the boss will be happy with that one.
I think the boss will be happy with that one. Well, driver of the day too for the boss. Awesome stuff.
Another superb French Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I think that smart time management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So Daniel Ricciardo leads home the McLaren 1-2 with Lando Norris in second, and we managed to take third for another podium.
Daniel Ricciardo can be happy with the points he's earned today as it pushes his lead out even further. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to the scientist. Look at where they finished compared to where they started. It's not easy to cut through the field like that in Formula 1, so it was a great effort.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Meanwhile, good work from the owner-drivers team this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula 1.
So that brings an end to another interesting race in this championship. No change at the top. Daniel Ricciardo still holding his championship lead, in fact making it even stronger. Lando Norris moves up to third in the standings with another solid race, moving himself ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton was kind of nowhere in this one. I know he had that contact, so he had to make that. Or did he make an extra pit stop? I'll have to check the race director to see if Hamilton actually made an extra stop. It looks like he did. Yes, as Hamilton made 3 pit stops. So to be fair to Hamilton, P8 with 3 pit stops, that's not bad. Nikita Mazepin, nowhere. He wasn't even in the top 14. So yeah, disaster weekend for him once again. That's unfortunate for Mazepin. I thought he was slowly getting somewhere. A few rounds ago he got in the points and he's been running a little bit higher up the field, but yeah, it's just not working for him, this Mercedes race seat, and he's just not anywhere near where Mercedes would surely want him to be with Hamilton, fighting, even with an extra pit stop, fighting for points. It's just not going well. But anyway, yeah, Hamilton with that bad result drops down to 4th in the championship. We hold 5th, closing the gap to Hamilton with that result. Whether we'll be able to overtake him anytime soon, only time will tell. Yuki Tsunoda finished 12th in this one, moving up from 13th on the grid. So yeah, that seems to be about where his pace was. I mean, to be fair, he did beat Esteban Ocon. We saw him making that move, so the Alpine car on paper is actually better than ours, slightly, so he's not doing bad by any stretch, but you've got the likes of Fernando Alonso dragging that Alpine car up into 7th position. But of course the R&D chart doesn't tell the full story, because we saw the Ferraris, they're 4th on the R&D chart. They qualified 2nd and 4th, but in the end they dropped down a little bit, and especially on the soft tyres they had no pace, so we'll see how things go in future. So that brings an end to the French Grand Prix weekend. In terms of sponsorships, we missed out on 20 Constructors' Championship points. That was a fairly optimistic goal given where our car is now, but at the time when I signed that deal I thought that would be possible in most races, so yeah, it's a tough one. But anyway, we have a department event.
We have a problem regarding our driver. How do you want to handle this?
So in this one, it's actually a bit of an interesting one. We need to choose to boost his consistency, or racecraft consistency, being awareness. And I really need to get into the habit of checking the driver stats and actually sort of knowing more about the second driver, because I will admit I made the wrong choice here. I chose racecraft in the end, but I actually should have picked awareness, because after doing this I checked the stats and his racecraft is actually 100. Probably that's likely including this boost, but yeah, that was a little bit frustrating to find that. I should have probably picked awareness in that case, because his awareness was lower than his racecraft before this, for sure. But anyway, we will not worry about that too much more. Racecraft is never going to hurt, because now he will be the best overtaker in the field, so that is certainly not a bad thing. Our sponsorship deal with or XER, not sure how it's exactly meant to be pronounced, has come to an end, and we are simply going to re-sign that same deal because they are probably one of our better sponsorships on the car. We don't need to do anything too fantastic. I think it was 3 or 5 championship points, and we get our goal. And there they are. It took me a while to find them, but there we go. 5 Constructors Championship points, and we get 331,000 with a weekly income of 257,000. Let's keep them on the car for another contract time period, and they will stay with us. Unfortunately, I think I forgot to actually update the livery. Whenever you need to renew a sponsorship deal, you need to reapply their decals, so they may be missing in the next one unless I actually did remember to do that, but I don't think I did this time, unfortunately. But there, you can see somewhere when I actually find it. I always get lost in these menus. Here we go. Yuki Tsunoda's stats, and you can see, yeah, racecraft is a 100, so yeah, should have gone for awareness there. Although to be fair, his awareness is actually very high as well, so yeah, he's actually becoming a fairly highly rated driver overall. Just need to keep working on that focus to make sure he doesn't sort of slip down at any point, and that he can get the most out of the car. And of course, pace as well is another key one. In terms of R&D, we're going to purchase an upgrade to the NG Store reliability testing, and that will be on in time for the Belgian Grand Prix. So now we continue through the timeline towards the next event. We get 2 upgrades on the car, one to the reliability of the control electronics, the other to the power unit, the fuel regulator there. The next race is the Austrian Grand Prix. Looking forward to that one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. But yeah, other than that, there is not much else left to cover, so I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. I would appreciate that too. And I also appreciate you getting me to 80 subscribers. It's a very important number. The number on the side of my car, it's in my name. It's everywhere. So thank you so much for getting me there. And I will see you later.